All right. Well, I'm glad to be live. We're here in our regular go-to meeting chat room, and we're here, and again we're live on YouTube. If you'd like to join the our go-to meeting where you can talk, or if you can write in the chat room and all that such. Then if you go to destinationfreedom.org, you can scroll down a little bit on the left and you can see a link to, you can see the YouTube link there, and you'll find our channel and you'll see that we're live. Or you can scroll down and see the login or the link that goes to the go-to meeting. And you can join us either or. So glad that you're here. I'm just going to let YouTube be on this on part of this call here, but I'm going to deal with the people who are live. If you're on YouTube and you have a question, you can just type in the chat, and I'll endeavor to answer those questions and take care of that for you. So tonight is I have mixed feelings about some of the stuff that I want to talk about tonight. Partly is because I've had a rule that I've endeavored to keep over the years, and that is I don't like to talk negatively or about different people who are in different places in the freedom movement. The freedom movement is multifaceted, and everybody gets to pick and choose what part of freedom they care about. Okay, but not everything freedom related is the same, or not everything has that same is going to produce the same results all the time. And sometimes in the freedom community, some things are pretty bad. Okay, and so and again, we have freedom community here in New Hampshire, and that's a multifaceted community, and there's some great people in those communities, and listen, there's some real losers in the freedom community. And when I say talking about losers, I'm talking about people who are irresponsible, or maybe they're statists, and listen, maybe I'm a statist too, or what they would say, I'm let's say micro anarchist or something like that, where I am not one that's not for government. Okay, so that's not me. Okay, but here's my qualifier for that. Well, I'll have two qualifiers. One is the only purpose of a just government is to secure rights. Anything else that government does outside of securing rights is illegitimate as far as I'm concerned. Okay, it's unjust. Okay, that includes war. Okay, and so that's that shows up, and listen, war is a racket, as we know, and the wars that go on these days over the last 70 years or whatever is really is being promoted by this foreign state that's out there, just so you know. But that's neither here nor there. So I don't tend to like to be critical in that regard. So when I say that, I'm not a big supporter of anything that's coming out of DC and that cesspool of the government that's there. I am securing New Hampshire. I only care about New Hampshire. I don't care about other states, just that. I don't think the old America kind of patriotism has served America very well. I want to make America states again. Okay, not one nation under God, indivisible, all that crap that I just don't support, because America is not a country. America is a confederation of states. That's what the Articles of Confederation say. That's what the Declaration of Independence, declared. And so that's the reality. These are separate countries, and we have documents to back that up. So that's one thing I want to say about government. So outside of that, I'm not a big fan of government. I think people should govern themselves. The strongest government that we should have around us is in your local town, where your neighbors are part of wanting to secure your liberties or create government. every place the government comes back from that or goes away from you, meaning the county, the state, each government should be weaker than the other. The state shouldn't be super powerful, and the counties and all that are like political subdivision, political what do you call it? They're not supposed to be lesser than the state. You have to take more power away from the state and bring it to the county, then take away more power from the county and bring it back to the town. You should always be decentralizing government, always. So that being said, that's where I am with respect to that. So getting back to the freedom movement, everyone knows that Destination Freedom is helping people to eliminate their income tax liability. And so this particular call or this particular broadcast, I want to talk about Freedom Law School. Now, as I talk about Freedom Law School, I'm gonna leave it at that and not talk about its founder and such, and that is Payman. And he's well known. He's an incredible marketer. I like Payman. I've met him. I know him personally. I have his cell phone number. We talk, every once in a while, but really, and I have nothing ill to say about him personally. Okay. And I won't ever do that. But I have a criticism about the method or what he's offering people with respect to income tax. Okay. Now, he, as well as Dave Champion, both believe, I should say Freedom Law School, believe that most Americans don't have a filing requirement. Both of them, or at least I know Freedom Law School, they share a sentiment about show me the law that requires, most people to file and pay. Well, in our foundational class, State versus Federal Citizenship, we show you the law that requires most Americans, if you will. I don't like to use that term, but we'll use that as a collective. Most Americans to file and pay, and that law is the U.S. Constitution. That's the body of law. Where specifically? Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. Okay? Now, I'm saying this because I want to talk about Freedom Law School, and what they're suggesting. So they don't know how the IRS is prosecuting people, and they do. Don't think they don't. Look it up. Okay, they do. So because they think that the income tax is unconstitutional, they just conclude that it's all bad and the IRS is bad. And listen, the IRS is bad. The whole federal government's bad. I'm not trying to qualify it. I'm just saying I understand it. Okay. So Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, what is that? That is a part of the Constitution. It's power that's delegated to the federal government by the Constitution that says that they have exclusive legislative authority in all cases whatsoever. That's very broad. That they can write law, statute, and code for things that are in their jurisdiction. That would, as it says in there, that 10 square miles, that district, which is the District of Columbia, which would also include Guam, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, American Samoa. They're talking federal territories. They have exclusive legislative authority for that. Now, there's another area, a jurisdiction that they have, and that is the 14th Amendment citizen. As it says in the 14th Amendment, subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Okay? And both the IRS and the State Department define U.S. citizenship by the 14th Amendment. It says so. I've read it. Okay? Now, if you think that that's just referring to everybody in America, you're kidding yourself, because there were already citizens in the states, as it says in Article 4, Section 2 of the Constitution. The citizens of the states are entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. It's the only kind of citizens there were. There were no federal statutory citizens until the 14th Amendment. There was just citizens of the states. That's a fact and a reality. That's what the Constitution says. Okay, so that's what we promote. That's the law that governs of the federal government. Now, listen, so that you can understand this authority, if you want to look at the power that's been delegated to the federal government, you look in Article 1, Section 8, and it tells you the different areas that the federal government has the authority to govern, okay, including that federal citizen. And that is, so what they do is, when you think about federal laws and such, like even federal gun laws, are they constitutional? Yes. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, they have exclusive legislative authority in all cases whatsoever. So again, federal gun laws are for D.C., Guam, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, and the U.S. citizen. You can add to that the resident alien, or individuals, or U.S. persons. It's all the same thing. That's what federal gun laws are for. The federal gun laws are not valid for state citizens in the states. The Second Amendment protects them. That's a reality. Otherwise, a lot of law would be just unconstitutional, but it's not. The Constitution empowers them. The 10th Amendment to the Constitution says the power not delegated to the United States, that's the federal government, by the Constitution is reserved to the states of the people. So the idea of that is like, how about immigration? Does immigration show up in the Constitution? It does not. But if they have exclusive legislative authority in all cases whatsoever, then immigration laws are coming out of Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the Constitution. So is immigration a federal power that's delegated to them? No. In their jurisdiction it is, but not in the states. It's the responsibility of the states to secure their own borders and to make sure that immigration handles properly. Now, in the Constitution, naturalization is charged. The Constitution charges the federal government to have a uniform rule so that naturalization is something that's congruent in all the states. That's what the federal government is charged to do, not naturalize, but to make sure that the naturalization process in the states is uniform. That's what it says in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4. So understanding federal jurisdiction is a requirement to understanding the limits of the federal government. Now, in some of these matters, Freedom Law School is spot on, just because they understand this limitation of the District of Columbia and all that. But everyone in America is constantly asked, are you a United States citizen? And constantly people are just saying yes without qualifying what definition of the term United States. What definition of the term United States are they using? Because I am a United States citizen and I'm not a United States citizen. Both those statements are true. I'm not a citizen of the District of Columbia. There's a citizenship of the District of Columbia, which is a federal 14th Amendment citizen. I'm a citizen of New Hampshire based on habitation and domicile. So the idea that what we choose is you get to choose your citizenship. You want to be a citizen of Texas, move there. Cut off the driver's license of somewhere else. You might get a driver's license in Texas. You're only able to have one driver's license in America. See, that's based in habitation and domicile. Same thing for voting. Same thing for jury duty. Habitation and domicile, not residency. Okay. And so this is what we do. Now, Freedom Law School, if I understand it, I've been watching some of the videos for a while, some of the stuff that they're giving away, one of the things that they do or they start off with is they invite you. The first thing to do is to contact the congressman and ask them to show you the law that requires most people to file and pay. And then based upon, and most people, because I know people have told me they've done this, most people don't get a response. And sometimes if they do get a response, it's pretty convoluted. Or they'll just tell you where in the Constitution the Congress has the power to tax. So you're not dealing specifically with the income tax, you're just talking about their ability to tax. So that wasn't or isn't the question that is being played out. Now we know that the income tax is an excise tax. It's not a direct tax. And interesting, Dave Champion does a very good job in a particular video talking about the difference between a direct tax and an excise tax. But his position on income tax, he doesn't get the term United States correct, sad to say. And, he's a champion when it comes to talking about statutes and codes. He's Dave Champion is one of the most exciting guys about talking about, the law in that regard. And yet, just my opinion, I don't believe he gets the term United States. They use both Paymont and Dave Champion both throw around the word American like as if that's a relevant term. I use that term loosely. To use the term American, referring to Americans, or if you will, of the citizens of these states, would be like calling an Italian European. It's true, but he doesn't want to call himself that. Not everybody in Europe, they just are grouped together being Europeans. They are, but they don't like to make reference to that. Their states are uniquely theirs, and our states are uniquely ours. Let me tell you something. New Hampshire is not California. Sorry. I'm not sorry, but that's the truth. So getting back to Freedom Law School. So they reach out to the congressman. We don't have to do that. You're not even have to get permission. One of the ways that we establish who you are is that we do a passport process with the State Department, and we, in our documents, literally reject the 14th Amendment citizen. It's not our choice. And we embrace citizenship of our state. That's a reality, okay? These are separate countries. They have legislatures, executive branches, and judiciaries. So the idea is these are free and independent states. They, like the Declaration of Independence says, and they are also individually members of the Hague Convention. They are separate countries, okay? They have a State Department. They interact with things internationally. These are separate states. We have a union. We're not very unified, and we have a bad union government. So bad that it's, I don't believe it's redeemable. So anyway, so that's what we do is we do that process with the State Department and passport process. And then after that, we get certified copies of your passport file. And the reason we do that is because we know the IRS, I've watched them in tax court use passport applications to establish U.S. or federal citizenship. Okay, so that is that's a reality. So one of the things, or many times I've heard Freedom Law School when they've talked about stopping filing. Okay, and so imagine this: you're filing all your life, and all of a sudden, here's the remedy: is just stop filing. Now Freedom Law School is right. It's not likely you're going to be pursued. And it is statistically true, as they say, that it's more likely for them to prosecute and go after someone who files than someone who doesn't file. And it also is statistically, a better chance when he talks about that there's only 80 judges or however many judges that there are to prosecute these cases, and there's too many people that are non-filers. So the idea for you of just stopping filing is just because there's not enough people to prosecute you doesn't really give you a warm fuzzy feeling about stopping. And then I can be completely wrong in this, but by all means, state stuff down below, and say that Freedom Law School does something different. I'm glad to learn that. But there was something in which, and again, I could be a third, or at least what you were sending the IRS. And so, and if that's the case, then maybe what you're doing is signing up for some, income tax insurance. Maybe that's what Freedom Law School offers. And again, they're always preparing for a fight. We don't have to do that. We don't have any clients that are, that because of our process dealing with the IRS. We have plenty of clients that were dealing with the IRS before, and we're having to help sort out those things. But the idea is, it's not. We just know how to navigate the space so that you don't have to file and pay. We do have forms that when people ask for tax ID numbers and socials, we have forms for you to use. We definitely stay connected to our clients. We feel that's very important, and so that's something that we do. Sometimes it's very difficult to get assistance with respect to Freedom Law School, and again, I feel bad saying some of that stuff, but let the facts show. We've had plenty of clients come from Freedom Law School and become our clients, and we believe this is a peaceful journey. It's not something you're going to need to get permission for. You just have to always tell the truth, and everything is in the light. We have clients that have bank accounts. They do all these things. What we don't have is clients that are employed. We have no provision for that. You have to work for yourself. You're not going to be paying the IRS and thinking that you're going to not that you're going to fill out something with your employer, because people who do that, they're still paying Social Security like they have an obligation there. It's the same thing. You're not going to have either of those, Social Security as a tax and neither the federal income tax. And it saves the company if they're going to hire you as a contractor instead of as an employee. They save money. You keep all of your money. It's a good deal for both. This is a peaceful process. It's not a it's not a fight. You're not going to have to square off with anybody. It should be that kind of thing. Everything in the light. And so, like I said, our clients have bank accounts. It's not a problem. We do know how to navigate the space. So you're not having to hide and live like a runaway slave. You just walk off the plantation and stay off the plantation. That's really how it is. So that's some of that's out there. But anyway, so we welcome you to go to destinationfreedom.org, check out some more information there. And we have a foundational class called State versus Federal Citizenship, the Unknown Choice. People are always answering that question, are you a U.S. citizen, without asking who's asking for it, what definition of the term United States are you using? So anyway, so that's what I'm familiar with Freedom Law School. If anybody else has a different remedy that they're offering, then I'm not aware of it. And then maybe you can tell the Freedom Law School that you found the law that requires most people to file and pay, and that is Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the Constitution. So anyway, I wanted to share that tonight live on YouTube. I hope you will reach out to us at destinationfreedom.org. And if you get this or you see this and it's still this evening, you can join us. Go to destinationfreedom.org, scroll down, you'll see how to get to our go-to meeting link, and you can join us live here when we get into let me see here. Does Freedom Law School say you can collect Social Security? I don't know that. I don't know that I've ever heard him make an instance check into that. Listen, I'm glad that you mentioned that on our go-to meeting thing here. There's another things that I want to say, and that is I understand that Freedom Law School encourages people to create LLCs. We don't have our clients do anything corporate. And if Freedom Law School has you getting a tax ID number, I don't know if they are or do, but if they ask you to get a tax ID number, then that's not that's not outside federal jurisdiction either. It becomes complicated. And listen, if you want to see whether the Justice Department has pursued anything with respect to Freedom Law School, just go to the Justice Department's website and do a search on Freedom Law School, and you'll see things come up in there. Like I said, we have no experience of having to help clients in court. I mean, we had a case years ago, and it was because they were not in that jurisdiction, didn't have a liability, that they sealed that, they withdrew and sealed that case. It was only one years ago before we started helping people, but outside of that, nothing. So Anyway, I want to let you guys go on YouTube. Everybody here in the go-to meeting, I'll be right here. We'll get into your questions and all. So, all right. So we will talk to you soon. Let's see.